Yeah, hi. Um, Welcome on such a rainy day. Kudos to your bravery for being here. But today we're going to be talking about trains apart from operations, or rather maybe mixing the two. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some train talk. So for those of you who don't know what Shinkansen is, who here doesn't know what it is? You don't know what it is? Okay, it's the Japanese bullet train. It's the fastest high-speed train on the planet. So this is apologies, yeah. Maybe I'm such a train fan, and I think that's I'm gonna skip here to my introduction first. So I think we already skipped to part number 3 because I love trains, and I'm really sorry to assume that people like maybe look at it the same way. But yeah, I'm Inês. I'm a strategic ops and AI systems architect. And if we're here today, it's because I'm matching my love of trains with what I currently do with quite a bit of experience in different environments, in different countries, working across different organizations. So it's a bit of a mix and match in the service of a more sustainable operational setting, which is essentially what I want to convey with Shinkansen Ops. Does this work? Yeah. So how this is going to go is understanding why we handle operations in a way that makes us feel like staying alive. Maybe a little bit less enthusiastically as the Bee Gees, but for a lot of organizations, it's a hassle, right? So we're here to talk about how not to make it so hard and imagining a different way of handling operations to focus more on strategic execution, as we assume that essentially when businesses, organizations get to work more on their strategic execution, then everybody is better off for it rather than struggling with operations. Yeah, part 3 is going to include a little demo of what I call the Shinkansen Ops, and any questions and answers that you may have. Yeah. Okay, so we've already been here. And yeah, I'm going to start with a more familiar image. Who here has not been on a train in Portugal? Okay. Okay, two people that admit it. Anyhow, why I'm showing you this is precisely to intro what I call the staying alive state. So, I work with organizations, and having worked as an employee as well, I have a point of comparison as how you approach operations, right? So a lot of it is treated ad hoc, right? So someone knows how this is done. We have some SOPs. Nobody has looked at it too much, but it's meant to be executed by a person in charge. So basically, it's kind of winging it to a lot of the times, right? So this is what happens when you basically give yourself room to fail, right? And if you've been on a CP train, so you can have a very good experience, right? So it can happen. Definitely, it has happened to go from Lisbon to Porto without any complications, even with a train being on time. But it really feels lucky, And it's like, so you just, it's like, my God, like my love, this is great. So this is where, where teams feel like lucky because they've managed to send proposals in a relatively good amount of time to their clients, or when they manage to find information quickly in a particular quarter because factors, this is that feeling of there was a time when, because someone was responsible, or because we just like had a good software or some other explanation. But this is a problem, right? Well, this is a problem every day because for every single question, which is, I'm sure you recognize this, there's a time tax, right? There's especially in organizations like the ones I work with, where you're dealing with scale-ups. Usually there's a lot of room for bottlenecks to be caused, and usually founders are very squeezed for time, right? To try and redirect people to what needs doing or where to find things. So basically becoming human routers and trying to catch up rather than focusing on what they want to do, which is to grow the business, scale, and so on and so forth. So this is basically a bit of the staying alive state, which is kind of times, how many days it continues going on. So we can assume that a lot of the operational side is characterized by chaos and just trying to catch up and just trying to do a good enough job in order to deliver to the end user, which is in this case it would be the client. So the problem here is that the unsustainability part that is quite saddening, because there can be lucky days, but over time this situation definitely contributes to what I've mapped out here, from burnout to opportunities missed and costs and time lost. And frankly, there's already so many things that are hard in business, right? High expectations, especially the smaller the organization and the more the ambition. It's already a bit of a hard enough place to try and grow out and become a sustainable business. So if you are dealing with unclear, broken processes, it's just an even bigger load that you're putting on your employees. So I think this is a little tying back to Paulu's talk, that sustainability is not just environmental, it's very much human, right? In the sense that this is all a load that we carry, right? The fact that we didn't deliver, we delivered late, we couldn't find the things where we needed to restart everything, we lost data, all of that stuff just basically ends up having a cost that often organizations are not too keen on measuring. But the interesting thing is, once you start looking at doing things differently and understanding the opportunity cost of doing things differently, is really when you start asking yourself, does it really need to be this hard? And the answer is usually no, it isn't. So this is when, if you look at cases of the Shinkansen. So again, for those who didn't know about the Shinkansen, and fun fact, I've also never been to Japan. I've never been to on a Shinkansen, obviously. But the interesting thing is, if you manage to get out of this of a space where everything feels chaotic, there's a few or maybe only one human router taking care of everything, and just basically not having a sustainable operational setup that is helping you deliver on your business's mission, you end up looking up to examples that clearly have it together, right? In this case, you don't have to have been to Japan to know that the Shinkansen, is extremely fast, right? It averages speeds of 300 kilometers an hour. It takes 7 minutes to clean in between trips. What else? Most crucially, and this is the fact that I'm going to really highlight here, is that it has less than 1 minute of delay per year. So that is just the incredible case of how you manage to construct a system that delivers so excellently that over a whole year you have less than 1 minute delay, right? So its punctuality is what it's most known for, maybe after the speed, right? Because it's the fastest high-speed train line on the planet. So basically, what the Shinkansen shows, and how I interpret it, is that there are things in business that are predictable, right? So any business needs to have needs to deal with this, whether they deal with things ad hoc, which a lot of businesses or organizations do, or very predictably, like the Shinkansen, there's things that need taking care of, right? So how you acquire clients, how you handle your sales, how you do financial operations, admin, client onboarding, and information management, right? But these are predictable. So if you just think, for instance, within client acquisition, how you're going to get your clients, right? What does your lead intake look like? And you start mapping that out. You already are accounting for, that predictable need, rather than just figuring it out, right? Seeing what works. So this is all about mapping out how you want to be delivering, rather than being reactive. So in this sense, I want to draw this a bit of a summary here of a comparison between what I call CP ops. And actually CP is maybe not even the worst example if you compare like Deutsche Bahn, Amtrak, there's like, again, it's like, I don't want to get into the rabbit hole of trains, but I also don't want to be fair enough to Portugal, but in any case, it is the majority of trains shows that is a good example of just of handling operations in a downstream reactionary way, right? Rather than an upstream planning way that delivers consistently against the targets, right? In this case, you can expect that if there's problems, that you're going to be engulfed kind of in the mess. So if there's delays, if there's a strike, like all of that, you just basically become part of it. Shinkansen just makes a point to be, the operations are meant to be invisible to the end user. Like the service is meant to be so predictable that you just use it, you do not become any part of anything, unless, there's some force majeure incident, but usually it's extremely seamless and invisible. So you don't see all the orchestrations, you just use the service, right? Again, legacy rules. So basically the problem of this is how we've always done it, right? Versus what you need to do to deliver the way you want to and keep improving. And then of course, being unpredictable and predictable, right? So all the way over here, without having been to Japan, never been on the Shinkansen, you already know if I go to Japan, I know it's going to take 7 minutes to clean the train, that there's a little switch that turns the seats 180 degrees. I don't know that there's that the technical staff, the cleaners are considered like premium workers. Like there's all these things that you already know how things work because of the brand that was created behind this level of operational excellence. So if you think of things where companies start to better their status quo within the mess, I mean, this is a very simple workflow, right, where you start getting a little bit of automation within to tackle the chaos. This is one such example, right? So getting something from a form to a CRM to get a hold of the chaos. Like, again, not trying to be repetitive here, but yeah, this is one such attempt to look at automation as a way to ease the delivery, which is fine. Again, absolutely, I do these things all the time. The problem, however, is when you start over-relying on automation. And here is just, simple math as to the probabilities, right? So the probabilities of success of executing an automated workflow via raw LLMs. So when you use your chatbots to take care of, summarizing, planning, researching, calculating everything. So all of these things have a probability of success. And if you consider that LLMs have a 90% probability of success in the answer that they give you, obviously you need to multiply that every time you ask it to do something, and that would mean there's a 59% success rate for the product that you ultimately want, right? So imagine if you want a daily digest of your email. Imagine if you want to be able to invoice a customer. This is something that will be reflected, right? In the sense that you're dealing with probabilistic guessing, and that's what sometimes we forget, right? That we're not dealing with deterministic outcomes when we are chatting with LLMs and hoping for fixed outputs. Unfortunately, they're not, and sometimes there's very difficult situations. In this case, this is a December story where a user wanted to delete their cache. At the end of the day, Google's AI deleted the entire hard drive of the user. So, the problem of just giving too much scope for our needs, our need to drive the execution can end terribly, right? So this was extremely sad, honestly. But yeah, this is just to the point that we need to understand what AI can give us and in what form. And again, if we think that it's still guessing at the end of the day, then how do we make it fit specific requirements, especially in a business context where we're trying to get it right every time, predictably and sustainably. So yeah, welcome to the Directive Orchestration and Execution Framework, which is basically an answer to this problem, right? So if you think of layers of reliability that you would need to be able to harness the creative side of AI and the orchestrational side of AI with the need to have deterministic outcomes every time, you would end up with a pyramid like this that would give you basically the layer of the directive where you specify your SOPs, basically what you want, and you can do it in natural language. The orchestration, so the agent that will process this, and again, a Python script that is going to execute that directive. So why is this important? It's basically about separating concerns, right? So if in that compounding probability, compounding success rate, you couldn't count on the deterministic outcomes because you were dealing with probabilities of a successful answer to what you were asking. Here, you will know that because of the separation of concerns, you will have a Python script that will execute every time to deliver on what you need. So it's demo time for Shinkansen Ops. I don't want to take too long, but yeah. So, sorry? Great. So yeah, welcome to my very personal space. So this is my my library, my library of agentic workflows. This is where I spend most of my time nowadays, basically because it's where a lot of my workflows run. So it's either here in Google Anti-Gravity or in Visual Code. What this is for anybody who's not familiar, is an agent-led IDE. And what's happening here, if you can see, is basically you have what we just talked about, right? So we have the level of directives, we have the level of executional scripts, and we have, importantly here, an environment file that contains all of my API keys and access is needed to execute on a bunch of these, all the scripts that need authentication to perform their action, right? So basically, the way I've set this up and the way you would set it up if you would want to have something like this is you open a clean instance, you start a workspace, and all you need to do at first is create the system, like let's call it the system prompt, but which is essentially a markdown directive for what you expect or how you expect the agent to work, right? So as you will see, the directive orchestration and executional layer are described, right? So basically what we were just talking about, just, you know, how SOPs will be handled, where they will live, orchestration, how this will be handled, and same for the executional layer, where this will live, and, you know, how it will work. Interestingly, you also tell it how to work. Like, for instance, in terms of when it finds edge cases, what happens when things break. So why I call it Shinkansen Ops is because, like, there's continuous improvement built in here that basically translates to how it handles errors. So the whole point is to have a... Huh? No. I'm sorry. No. So most importantly, if when you're creating agentic workflows, whether in tools like NA10 or Make.com, you have to specify quite a bit of what to do when things break. Here, you can almost do it, you know, in a few lines, like, okay, you know, as you can see, it's extremely easy to read. You know, you're meant to fix it, update tools, test it, and basically do everything to continue completing the goal of the task that you've wanted it to do, right? So if you're trying to execute, I don't know, like a lead generation campaign, if it encountered an error, it will continue to, if it will diagnose it, it will fix it, and it will update the script to not run into that error again. So I don't know if there's any questions here, but, you know, hopefully it's quite understandable as to how, what basic instructions you're giving it to then start building on top of it with every new workflow that you would like it to handle. Okay, with that said, I thought, you know, we'd build together. So I thought a good example would be to build a proposal generator. You know, like pretty common issue that sometimes can be quite hectic because you just had a call and you're meant to send something over, and again, it's you need to update it. You know, it's, I don't know, last version, you know, wasn't touched for a while, so it's so maybe you need something that will, you know, get you out of that situation in a lot smoother of a way every time right after you've had an important call and you need to send one over. So I actually had already prepared. Sorry, I get a little. Had already prepared this here. But I just need to update that last bit. But as you can see, what I'm doing here is extremely, I mean, I like to think of it as if I would be sending this message to a coworker on Slack, right? Something pretty, I don't know, pretty conversational. Of course, this is going to use a lot of the things I have already set up here. So I have, like, for instance, scraping or elements that are going to be included in that proposal generation, even though here I'm already asking for, I'm going to be building a workflow that asks for the email or the name of the client so that it can find the relevant meeting call notes in my Google Drive Meet recordings folder when I end a sales call, and summarize bottlenecks, propose solution, and fit it into a template that I've already created and that lives in my Google Slides bank. Once it's done, I'll want to continue editing it. So I wanted to just give me the slides link to continue editing. And I think I'm going to add here that I wanted to, like, run this in like 3 parallel windows just to, like, make it faster. So what's interesting here is, okay, it already encountered an error. So that's interesting. You can see that it encountered a markdown directive that I have here for onboarding clients. So it's reusing bits. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to see also catch up with what it's doing. But yeah, it's taking everything that can help it execute what I wrote, in a few points, to complete the full task. And yeah, you can just see how it works. It's pretty understandable, and you can set it to stop or to just do everything as it wishes. Okay. For instance, here I already had set it to always proceed. I only have it stop when there's some bigger thing I need to take a look at, but otherwise I don't want it to be stopping at every single hesitation that it may have. I want it to just execute on what it's thinking and intervene at a later point or correct it once I see what it did. But yeah, so basically this is just this way of working that I find fascinating, because if you've built any automations, you probably know how long it can take to build and to get things right and to make sure that what happens if it breaks, account for every single step to make sure that it's as robust as possible. And here you're gonna basically be feeding a task that the agent will know to execute to the best of its abilities every time, right? So again, Shinkansen, the point is how should this work every time? And that's what you're supposed to be giving the agent so it can do that job, to find the best solutions, find the alternatives, fix the errors, diagnose them, and keep improving the script. Because again, you shouldn't expect that this is going to be done, after one run. Sure, it will, but the whole point is that you have it run a few times, just like with a human, frankly, until it is a really solid workflow. And once you have a really kind of battle-tested workflow, for instance, you can put it in the cloud. So you can so that's one interesting case. So until you have that level of certainty, you should keep it local. But if you, for instance, need to run it, at 3 a.m. and you're not there to run the script locally, then if you have something that you're really confident is going to deliver at 3 a.m. when you're sleeping, then that's a good time to put it in the cloud. But until then, you're just making sure that it does what it's supposed to. And this is a bit slow.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I see you're using Claude Sonnet, and I was wondering if it ever hallucinated details on those information that you give to it.
If it hallucinated details.
The include is very prone to hallucinations, especially in code workflows and stuff like that.
Actually,
it could ever happen with your workflows that you define, that it would hallucinate, for example, from the meeting detail that you give it from the Google document, it would invent new information or warp the information.
Actually, for this particular workflow, as you can see, I don't have one here. I had a proposal execution workflow in NA10, but thank you for spotting Claude Sonnet. I usually work with Gemini 3 Pro, so I think I changed it recently to Sonnet because I ran out of credits. So sure, if you're not paying for, after a while, you will kind of run out. You'll have to switch to a different agent. Different model. So yeah, I can tell you that usually I just go with Gemini 3 for coding. Yeah. And Claude was probably for, I don't know, because I ran out. So that's the easy answer. Oh, okay. So now it asked us, would you like me to test the workflow with a sample client? Yes, I would. Maybe let's see if it's going to find. I know I've had a call with this person. So anyway, like this is fascinating to watch, at least for me. So I don't know. I hope you're. Hope I'm not the only one. But yeah, basically this is sort of the. Oh, okay. So again, this is happening. It already has my. Oh, sorry. Oh no, my phone is over there. Okay, but it already has all this information stored in my environment. Oh, sorry. In my environment file here. So it just basically grabs all these things as it needs and authenticates where it needs and asks me, well, as it just did. But basically, that's kind of the, let's just say, the future of having autonomous AI employees executing on things from, proposals, scraping, feeds, I don't know, like creating any sort of, I don't know, whether it's a presentation, whether it's, sales, outreach, whatever it is. And I think, yeah, this has been a game changer, not just, personally, because, one person, I'm work for myself, I have limited resources and time, but yeah, also for bigger clients that, oh God. Yeah, and as you can see, it also has like autonomy over the browser, and it's, so basically it knows when to call, when to head over there without me needing to interfere. But yeah, unless you want me to go grab my phone, which is over there, hopefully this was explainable enough. It's not going to complete like the full action because it needs me to go into slides. But okay, yeah, you see an error occurred. It's probably trying to solve it. So this is yeah.
So, and when it solves the error, it writes down on the instructions?
Yeah. So it self-anneals in the sense that it diagnoses it fixes it, and it updates the script. I'm currently updating the script, so it wrote a script to analyze meeting notes because I wanted to extract, key bottlenecks, a proposed solution, and sort of next steps to then put in the template. But yeah, that's basically what you can count on. So basically, it's, it's like it's like a human that would be, immediately ready to change its ways, right? That's that's the wonderful part, I think, at least. So yeah, it's quite fascinating. I feel like, yeah, it's quite mesmerizing to just keep following, what it's doing. But yeah, I think this was, yeah, you see it's pausing because of, a lack of Google Drive access. Again, I can go get my phone, but other than that, I think, it's time to, yeah, it's time to just close the talk. Yeah, with, some elements, as I've just answered Emily's question, it's the characteristics of this anti-fragile system go from being able to error detect, error diagnose, fix the error, update the directive, optimize organically. So again, the whole point is to be as efficient as possible and then continuously improve. As I said, at the first runs will be, kind of trial and error, but the more you run the script, the more it's going to be resilient and battle tested. Yeah, I think last but not least, the path to these sustainable Shinkansen ops is a consciously architected one, which means that willpower is not a part of the equation. So if what we see in a lot of organizations where people are already working pretty hard to try to deliver, but without just without it being put into something that would help the business generate more money, then it's interesting to think about, well, if you just thought of a little bit more of a conscious architecture to make sure that failure was not a possibility and that you were helping yourself to deliver in the way that you would want to. Shinkansen Ops is an answer. Yeah.